Hello, my name is Jack Sampel, and here is my Module 1 for EDL 853. A little bit of personal information. I have a son named Arthur. He's 2. That's him at his birthday. I have a wife who I've been married to for 5 years here in July. And I grew up in Kansas City, Kansas. I went to Turner K through 12. I graduated from Emporia State University with a bachelor's degree in social science education and then a master's degree in special education. And a few hobbies of mine: I like to work out. I like playing video games when I get the chance. That usually doesn't happen though. I watch TV. I like going on trails if I can. Anything that gets me outdoors sometimes is really good. As far as work environment and history, I started as a life skills paraprofessional. Then I moved on to substitute teaching at Turner and Bonner. And then I accepted a full-time position at Wyandotte High School as an adaptive special education teacher. We had 13 adaptive special education teachers in that building with 200 adaptive special education students. And then I moved on to Piper High School after 3 years, and I'm about to start my 5th year there. And we have 4 adaptive special education teachers and 75 adaptive special education students. I teach freshmen. I am the freshman special education teacher there. And it was kind of a whirlwind year, but we all learned and I was really impressed with them. So an overview of the topics that we're going to be discussing today: building an inclusive culture, being an advocate, plans and strategies for an inclusive culture, and steps to change assumptions of inclusive culture. So first, building an inclusive culture. First, we need to know what it is. The legal definition is: as much as appropriately possible, handicapped children, including those in private and public education, are educated with students who are not handicapped. And separate schooling only occurs when achievement is not possible with the use of supplementary aids and services. And kind of the pragmatic definition is: inclusion is the idea and belief that learning and living together benefits everyone, not just the students receiving special education services, everyone. And so, how can administrators maintain and address inclusive culture? They can create a positive environment that is open to creativity and diversity, and they can address issues proactively and as they arise. Now, there are a lot of people who might not be as big of fans as inclusive culture because, you know what, it is more work sometimes. And, that's something that educators need to address and make sure that they are making it a priority to build that inclusive culture within the school. And that all starts from the administration and them supporting that inclusive culture and making it a very big priority for everyone. Next, how to be an advocate. I think it really starts with knowing the students academically and also personally, and not being buddy friends with the student, but just knowing what they're about, knowing what their culture is, knowing what their family thinks is important, and just knowing something other than their test scores and their grades. And academics is big and you need to know a student's strengths and needs, but getting to know them on a personal level will help you be an advocate for them no matter what. Creating a space in the school and classroom for students with values and respects their differences, and just having that space where everybody is included and everybody recognizes different experiences each other has had is really important to make sure that each student's needs are being met. And let the students know that the staff can be resources for them as well with issues related to discrimination and oppression. We need to educate our students on when they're being oppressed and what discrimination is. They might not even know sometimes. So letting them know what it is first, and then letting them know staff is a resource for them, is super important to making sure each student is having their needs met. And lastly, make being an advocate a priority for staff. Emphasize this through meetings and or professional development sessions. That starts from administration. It needs to be a priority for all staff that we are being advocates for our students. Next, plans and strategies for inclusive culture, creating an inclusive classroom environment. And that starts with the academic support, making sure supports and services are in there for students. You need to properly prepare teachers to have an inclusive culture. Curriculum needs to be based on students' needs. While you're teaching to the standards, you also need to make sure we're filling in gaps of what students may have missed in previous years. And, that sometimes needs an individualized curriculum at certain points. Integrate student bodies, make sure that we're bringing in kids from other schools and we're sending our kids out to other schools and having them, mingle together, get to know each other. And that builds that diversity and that culture. Adjust ranking calculations, and that is based on students' socioeconomic statuses and diversity, and letting them know what their success is and how we can best help them be successful in their own eyes. Create a respectful school community, and create a space for discussion. And that includes one for teachers and students. Students need to have that discussion piece, and they need to feel heard by not just us, the staff, but also their fellow peers. Best practices, and this is understanding and supporting deficits to help eliminate excuses. We need to understand these deficits, but also support them so that everybody is achieving the best they can. We need to raise expectations beyond the students' own expectations. If you set the bar low, the students sometimes aren't going to go past that. But we need to have them achieve the most that they can, and that's by setting the bar high for everyone. We need to customize school programs based on individual student strengths and needs. If someone needs extra help with reading, maybe they should be in a reading class that starts with the foundation and identifies what their needs are so that they're getting the best help they can. And lastly, collaborate to find solutions that encourage and maintain a culture that supports achievement. The main thing is the administrators can have a plan, but they need to make sure it's a collaborative process where everyone is involved and they are not railroading, the situation. It needs to be a collaborative effort, and that will bring more buy-in from the staff as a whole to support the students. And lastly, we have the steps to change assumptions of inclusive culture. Restructure the school beliefs. That's one thing that really needs to happen. And if you are building an inclusive culture and addressing those old assumptions, you need to restructure these beliefs. Each student can and will learn. Diversity enriches us all. And that's not just diversity as racial or sex-oriented. That includes students with disabilities. Each student can contribute to the learning of others. Each student has their own strengths and needs. Services and support should not be relegated to one setting. That means, a separate school setting. It needs to be inclusive. And those supports and services can be met. And effective learning is a collaborative effort with everyone ensuring student success. And this all really needs to happen by creating a culture that is open to creativity and diversity. And as administrators, we must know and address issues proactively and as they arise. And that's been stated before, but I can't say it enough. If you want to build an inclusive culture within your school, it has to be a priority for everyone. So, and that starts with administrators and what they put on the agenda for meetings and professional development sessions and how to best support students. And lastly, here are my references. Thank you. I look forward to learning with you all.